am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran. I'm here with Yanzi, and today is the day we are going through some Mark Waid goodness. Mark Waid, who says he wants the industry to burn down to the ground rather than work with what he considers alt-right creators. Let's get into it. No gatekeeping in mainstream comics as cancel pigs are rooting around and rolling in their own filth. Here we go.
So there's a whole bunch of posts from Mark Waid on Facebook. This is all public. So it's not as if, somebody's going behind and whispering out, taking screen caps of all this stuff. So he says, what I said was that when it comes to resolving the problems of a dwindling market, a lot of us would rather see the industry burn down than ally with the alt-right. If that statement enrages you, it says a lot more about you than it does about me. See, here's the issue. Mark really wants to label anyone who doesn't agree with him as alt-right. We are kind of waiting for him to give us a definition of alt-right exactly. But from what I gather so far, it basically means anyone that doesn't agree with him is alt-right, which probably makes 90+ % of the world. This problem is that he's basically saying it needs to burn down because I would rather it burn down than to work with these people. So, Mark, here's the thing. Superhero comics existed before you. Way before you even born, they existed. Superhero comics has always been about action, adventure, and superheroics. And for some reason, you think that you want to change it, and we are the bad guys for wanting to kind of focus on the superheroic stuff. It's like, see, I don't get this disconnect. It's like he took something and he decided to make it his. And when he's asked to, hey, we'd like you to share some of that with us, he's like, no, I'd rather burn it all down than to share it back with you guys.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like that. If I can't have it to myself, no one can have it. If it's not marching to the beat of my drum, no one can have it. And this is kind of an idle threat to the American comic book industry that get in line or face the wrath of Mark Waid.
This one is a kind of telling. This is almost like a Comicsgate talking point in a way. Mark Waid says, for the foreseeable future, anyone who starts a sentence with the words, the problem with comics is, as if there's only one problem and it can be fixed with the magic bullet you're about to present, can find me in my backyard next to the woodchipper. Basically, he's saying if you dare to say that comics can be fixed, I'm going to throw you in the woodchipper. So, wow. So far, we have Bill Sienkiewicz promising to bring a bat to anyone's face if they dare to talk badly about Gail Simone. And now Mark Waid trying to threaten to woodchipper anybody who doesn't give him multiple solutions to comics. But, all right, here's the thing. As if there's only one problem. Oh my God. Did he just say what I think he said? He thinks that there are multiple problems with the comic industry.
What's interesting about all of this really comes down to people trying to have a public conversation about things to fix in the American comic book industry. Now, all this kicked up when a retailer who owns multiple stores says if in 2 years something doesn't change, he's out. He owns like 12 stores or 10 stores or something like that. And even says he may have to consider shutting down 2 of his stores in the next year. So this is starting up a lot of conversation. Now, what's interesting about this is when you look at it, some people don't like having a conversation about what's wrong in comics. They want to keep running as they're running for whatever reason, whether it's to destroy the direct market, to blow it up. Do some of these people even want to run it to a point of failure where people have to close down their stores and eventually just get rid of floppies altogether? You would think Mark Waid wants that because Mark Waid is really attacking anybody in part of this conversation, including Mark Millar, saying that he's a burnout at this point, that his star has faded, that he's not relevant anymore as he's super successful and super popular. That's what's alarming about all this, is what is the problem? What is the threat in having a conversation on what's wrong with the direct market? And this conversation going from creator to retailer to whatever. And there are a group of creators right now, part of the Whisper Network, hypothetically, that are attacking this conversation.
I really like how he wants to pretend that now there are multiple problems and you cannot offer just one solution. So if you offer only one solution or less than the correct number of solutions he deems it to be, he's going to put you in the woodchipper. I really like that attitude.
There is multiple problems, and this was discussed on a Mark Millar channel with 3 retailers, the multiple problems. But one thing that was kind of consistent was the contents of the book. Yes, there's multiple branches here between rebooting, variant covers, a lot of different things. constant new number ones. Believe it or not, those are problematic. I suggest everybody go check out that video of Mark's. But one of the things that kept consistently coming up was a return to meritocracy, a return to creators that know how to create comics. And if there was a magic bullet, I mean, there may only really be that one target. And by attacking that one thing, like let's make quality comics, that quality being first, that kind of fixes everything to do with forced diversity, pushing creators that really don't have the chops to work on these books just because of their representation. It kind of fixes everything. So in a way, Mark, there is a magic bullet: return to meritocracy, return to quality comics.
Again, here's an interesting post from Mark Waid admitting that the superhero comic industry is having a rough time of it lately. Like, Jesus Christ. And the people were just waving around the sales chart. Even today, we have Heather Antos and Heidi McDonald's people waving sales charts saying it's doing better than ever. And Mark Waid is like, oh no, see, actually, it's having a rough time lately. Anyway, he says, but when make better comics becomes make more comics that are to my personal taste, that's a solution I can't get behind. So, like I said earlier, superhero comics have always been about superheroics. Lately, though, they have been changed to suit the personal taste of people who somehow think that it is their job to put other people's representation into those comics so they can be inclusive and diverse, while not understanding that perhaps the demographic you're trying to appeal to doesn't actually appreciate this. For example, we know that a lot of Pakistanis don't care for the way that Miss Marvel is depicted in the comics. They think that she is not very much reflective of their values. But somehow, the people over here making the comics think, no, see, we're giving you the representation we think you want. Now, all these attempts at adding more and more representation have somehow turned into almost a parody. They have all become self-inserts in a way, especially the way people are writing now. The issue here, Mark, is not that we're asking for making comics to be made to our personal taste. Because it's always been to our personal taste. That's why we were reading it to begin with. It's somehow you guys changed it. And we're asking, well, can we go back to the action adventure stuff? You're like, nah, here's a bunch of people sitting around drinking coffee and talking about their fifis. Hey, if I want to read about that, I can go read some shoujo manga or something. You know what I mean?
A lot of this to me is kind of a bad take, a bad conversation, one after another, because really it's real basic. Make a comic product that sells. And that's it. It doesn't matter the color of the person's skin, doesn't matter their sexuality, doesn't matter what their gender is, doesn't matter their pronouns. None of that really matters, because in the end, these are brick and mortar businesses. And I'm going back to the Mark Miller roundtable with the retailers, but one of the retailers mentioned was that they're out here investing their own capital, selling Marvel and DC product, keeping their brand alive. They're the biggest promoters of some of these characters when you think about it, in a grassroots brick and mortar store that make it possible for these big mega conglomerates to have a comic character exist that they make a movie off of. In the end, these guys, if they can't sell your book, it doesn't matter how popular your movie is or not. If the contents can't sell, then it's going to disrupt this cycle. And all of this stuff, it's all coming back. People need a comic product they can sell. That's it. That's all anybody's asking about. But that's the big threat. Like, whoa, it can't be that. It has to be progressive. It has to have representation. It has to be, and oh, you're the customer with money in your pocket. Maybe comics aren't for you anymore. This idea that comics are changing and the industry is changing, sure, yes. But change can be for the better or it can be for the worst. And you have to really acknowledge that, yeah, change is change, but why don't we change it to the better, not the worst? Right now, manga's selling great because they have no competition. They don't have competition in quality American comics. So much so Marvel and DC are letting manga make Deadpool manga, Superman manga, Joker manga. This is really, really bad. And instead of actually doing something about this and saying, oh boy, guys, it doesn't matter your politics, let's make some good books. We're not doing that. The American comic book industry isn't doing that. Mark Waid's not doing that. And Mark Waid right now, I think he's working on World's Finest, which is Superman, Batman at DC Comics. You could arguably say that's a big flagship book for DC Comics. But if push comes to shove and there's a top artist in the world that anybody could work with, Mark's not wanting to work with them because they maybe vote Republican. Why are politics affecting a product that retailers need to sell? That's insane. The gatekeeping happening in American comic book industry. Guys, if you guys will hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications as we do engage with our audience. Leave us a comment. Also, CG Triple Threat Variants is closing down in 9 hours. If you guys will, please go over here, check this out. 26,178. Also, Axcend Level Up is up, and it's over $103,609. I want to leave you guys with a trailer for this smash hit comic, and we will catch you guys again with another video.
I dream of a world carefully crafted, beautifully flawed. This is Axcend. In this game of life, there is one thing that determines a victor. A player's ability to grow. A player's ability to evolve. A player's ability to survive. My name is Dog. Choose to play. Choose to upgrade. Choose to level up. Choose to Axcend.